So this is another exciting tag, the smell of summer. So if you want to find out what fragrances I'm going to be showing you, well then you know what to do. Stay tuned. Hello, I'm Scott and this is the Centurion. Now today is another tag. It's a wonderful tag and it's the first tag from an absolutely wonderful YouTuber. And she goes by the name of Chantel Tiffany. Now I will leave a link to her channel in the description. Go and check out her video as well. But she was kind enough to tag me, so I thought, well, I'm going to jump on board with this one because this sounds real fun, and I think it's going to be. So let's get on with it. Right, it's the scent of summer, and it's about, I think it's more or less about fragrance memories and scent memories. Now I couldn't really do fragrances that I have a scent memory to in the summertime, all bar one. So I've had to sort of swap it around, and I've had to put the fragrance to a memory rather than the other way around, if you know what I mean, if that makes sense. It probably doesn't, I'm talking gobbledygook. But anyway, there's 6 in total. One of them is the honourable mention, which is the first one. And it's, I say it's an honourable mention, it's basically, it's going to be representing this summer. So the summer of 2021. Now, regardless of what has been going on over the last year and a half, year and 3/4, what with the obvious, I brought out my own fragrance. Now it was a year in the making, right at the beginning of COVID, and it took a lot of work to get to where we are now, or where I am now. The fragrance is Scenturion LEGIO X. It's on sale. It's been on sale for about 3 months now. It's a beautiful warm weather fragrance, long lasting, and I absolutely love it. I'm going to spray some more anyway, but of course I know what it smells like. But it starts off with a beautiful apple and then a freshness of mint, and there's a gorgeous greenness to it. So there's a herb bouquet in there, and the main player is the tomato leaf. Now the notes on this are apple, mint, tomato leaf, herb bouquet, jasmine, vetiver, leather and musk. And the leather comes through after about an hour, maybe 2 hours. I have worn this in the high heat now because we've actually got some decent weather in the UK, and it does last all day. I'm really pleased with it. It's a fantastic fragrance. I will leave a link to my Etsy shop where you can buy it from. But that is Scenturion LEGIO X. Now, as I pop this away, the next one is going to be, when I was a child, a very small child, my father insisted on taking me fishing. Now I absolutely detested it. I hated everything to do with fishing. I got bored. I didn't like the sliminess of the fish. I didn't like the idea of fish being caught, even at that age. I just didn't like it. But what I did like was the actual surroundings. Getting up really early in the morning, and then you're walking down to a quiet river, and you've got the morning dew rising as the sun starts to heat up the air, and you've got that mist rising through the fields, and even steam coming off of the river, and the wildlife. It was just all of that I absolutely loved. And the reason why I picked this fragrance is because it reminds me of the smells of then. And this is Tobacco Rose by Papillon Artisan Perfume. And this is absolutely gorgeous. Now it's not necessarily the rose that it's reminding me of, but it's the greenness of it, the freshness. There's like the trees that surrounding you as well. It's the whole caboodle. That's what it reminds me of. Now it's got notes of Bulgarian rose, rose de May, oak moss, ambergris, beeswax, Peru balsam. Now, like with the ambergris, it's got that sort of an aquatic type of feel, and that reminds me again of being by the riverside and the fresh cut grass. And it is that in a bottle. It is sitting by that riverside when I was a small child, and yeah, that's a lot of the reason why I love this fragrance. But I'm also a rose nut, so that is definitely a mainstay in my collection. But that is Tobacco Rose by Papillon Artisan Perfumes. Now the next one, as I grew older, I would spend all of my summer holidays around my grandmother's, and I had a best friend there, and we would play cricket all day long, every single day of the week, all day long. And the fragrance that this reminds me of is Acqua di Parma's Colonia Intensa. The reason why is because this has got such a beautiful citrus running all the way through it. And when we used to have a break from playing cricket, when things got just a little bit too hot, we'd run back to my grandmother's, and there would always be a picture of freshly made lemonade. And this is just what it reminds me of. It's that Sicilian lemon, and it just harks back to, you know what kids are like. They run as fast as they can back. They get that glass, cold glass, and they're drinking it without taking a breath, and it's just like the best thing ever, isn't it? But yeah, that is Acqua di Parma's Colonia Intensa. Now on to much later. When I was in my early 20s, I used to work in a rock bar called the Oval Rock House in Norwich, and we had some very big bands that used to come down there to play. But this is more of the memories of when the bands weren't playing, and we would just be sat there on a hot Sunday afternoon listening to rock music, drinking a cold pint of beer. And this fragrance is Encre Noire Sport. This reminds me so much of me a lot younger than what I am now, with a hell of a lot more hair. And this opens up beautifully with grapefruit. It's got that citrus running through it. There's 2 types of vetiver in here. I'll read you the notes on that. There is grapefruit, bergamot, nutmeg, cypress, water notes, lavender, Bourbon vetiver, Haitian vetiver, and cashmere woods and musk. Now, it's like the original, but the vetiver is tamed down on this, and there's that sharpness of the grapefruit, and mixing so well with the vetiver, making it fresh but dry. And it is dark, like the days and the nights down at the Oval Rock House, but it's got a freshness to it, a refreshing feel. And for the money you can pick that up for, it's such a bargain, it really is. And they come in such beautiful bottles, and that's a beautiful green sort of turquoisey juice in there. Now I will leave links to all of these where you can buy them from in the description as well. Now the next one is later on again in life. I used to work in a DIY store, and when I wasn't on the plumbing aisle giving heating advice and what have you, I'd be on the timber saw cutting wood, and there would be a plethora of different types of wood, all sorts, from mahogany to poplar, you name it. And it was the smell of the wood being cut, the heat coming off of the saw as you sliced through sheets of timber, and the fragrance that this reminds me of is Mancera's Cedrat Boisé. This has got the most beautiful cedar in it. It starts off really fruity. There's blackcurrant in there. There's your normal citrus, but it's a cedar note that really reminds me of working in the DIY store. Yearning for a cold drink you know, because it would get so hot in there, especially if you was working cutting wood and what have you. The notes in there are lemon, bergamot, blackcurrant and spices, patchouli, water jasmine, then cedar, sandalwood, leather, vanilla, moss and musk. This can be picked up really cheaply as well if you shop on Notino or allbeauty.com. I think might have it as well. A lot of the time you can pick up a 120ml bottle for around about the 60 to 80 pound mark, which is a cracking deal. Yeah, as I said, a beautiful cedar in that, and it just reminds me of all the different smells of the woods being cut. So that is Mancera's Cedrat Boisé. And last but not least, this fragrance reminds me of when I went to the good old US of A. We went to Florida, and obviously doing the Disney parks and what have you. But this fragrance is Daniel Hossier's Quetzali. Now this is Mexico in a bottle. Now the reason why I'm picking this scenario to go with this is because virtually right next to where we stayed in the hotel, there was a huge Mexican diner, and for some reason it always sticks out in my head. And because Florida isn't that far from Mexico, I suppose, it's got notes in of chili pepper, lime, avocado, incense, dahlia, copal, which is another incense, sandalwood, cedar and musk. And this is just it's that pepper that you pick out straight away, but there's a sweetness to it as well. So the pepper mixed with a sweetness and a real light smokiness as well. It's almost like a Mexican gourmand, but it hasn't got, if you forget the meat smells of things like tacos and what have you, and just imagine the smells of peppers being char grilled, and even if they were caramelized, it's just, there's nothing like this that I have tried, and it is an absolute wonder, an absolute beautiful fragrance. But that is Daniel Hossier's Quetzali. They are my offerings. As I said, I will leave all links in the description. Don't forget to check out Chantel Tiffany's YouTube channel. And if you did like the video, please like, comment and subscribe. Hit that notification bell, and keep safe out there, and I will see you all very soon. Thank you very much. So the 3 people that I'd like to tag are Lizzie from Rose & Jones, Brandon from DaVinci's Alchemist, and Claire from the Smurfy Gurly channel. You are all tagged.